And James Dean's getting a biopic, everybody, but we're doing a different twist on James Dean right now. We're going to find out who the real man is according to what this writer is saying. Let's talk about this biopic in our feature story of the night. So, of course, we love James Dean back in 1955, but after a car accident, only had a handful of movies, like 3 movies he did the whole time. Everyone just loves James Dean so much. Always been just like that heartthrob amongst heartthrobs in Hollywood. Everyone wants to be like James Dean because he had such a limited time in the business, but left such a big impact. And I think that's fantastic, and his legacy is massive. Now, they try and do a James Dean stuff here and there. Of course, James Franco played him in 2001. James Franco, it was okay. It was all right. But now we have a new premise coming forward. This is based off a biopic that, now this rumors have been going on Hollywood for a long time that James Dean was gay. And so they never really touched upon it before, kind of hinted at things, but always just been about the man, his movie, and his path, and what he brought to the business. But now this new biopic coming forward is going to dive into that realm, because William Best wrote the screenwriter wrote this memoir about James Dean called Surviving James Dean. And he told the story of his gay romance. Now, on the anniversary of the late actor's death, this biopic is moving forward with Guy Guido directing and writing it based off of that memoir, bringing into the world this idea that James Dean had a secret love life with his roommate. His friend became his lover. And now we're going to dive into that aspect of this man to tell his story. Now, this has never been done before for James Dean. It might be a little controversial. Who knows? I don't know what people are going to say about it. People don't even know who James Dean is completely. Like, a lot of people don't even know who he is. Like Gen Z, do they know James Dean? Does the world know James Dean anymore? There was going to be a biopic where they're going to do they were talking about using just a whole AI computer generated version of James Dean for this movie at one point. I don't know if that's going to happen because this is kind of a new turn for this whole premise. We'll have to wait and find out. They're talking producers. We're talking about writers. They're getting everybody involved. We're looking for casting right now. But the idea is when he came to LA, back when he was 19 years old, he evolved in this relationship with his roommate. And the screenwriter made allegations that two kept the relationship private to protect his career. Because at the time, of course, in Hollywood, that was just not going to fly for a lot of these actors and would cause a lot of problems with their careers because people were fucking assholes back then. And that's just what it was. But here's where this is coming forward. Telling you a new tale, a new side of James Dean. Will it be good? Will it not be good? I'm intrigued by it. I wonder if his estate will let this happen, though, too, because these allegations have been happening for a long time. Would his estate stop this from happening, or would they actually be about it? Because, again, James Dean has, this limited mark on Hollywood that people probably want to keep a certain way, and never was confirmed. But honestly, it seems like this confirms it based off other people's interactions with him. I don't know. GR, what do you think? Do you think this is a good way of going about this biopic for James Dean? Big budget, get into his love life, and maybe the allegations or the rumors out there, or do you think we should stick to the man's career and we're doing this big final biopic based off of one of the legends of Hollywood, I should say?
I don't think he's a legend. The guy was in 3 bloody movies. He was good. I'm not saying he wasn't, but I don't give a shit if he's gay, bisexual, straight. Doesn't matter to me, and I think it's a waste of time, personally.
You think it's a waste of just the studio's time and money overall? You think that this will even make money?
I mean, he's a good-looking young guy. The only reason he's famous now, Brian, is he was stupid and killed himself.
Yeah, he got into a car accident.
Yeah. He killed himself doing 120 on the freeway, and his car blew a tire and flipped.
Do you think that? Yeah, I mean that's happened to a lot of people out here. Look at from Fast and the Furious. Paul Walker got into an accident too and died just like that. Just because he just was going too fast and racing. So that can happen.
Not too fast and furious.
SOS, Brian.
Yeah.
Stuck on stupid.
But I think this could be something that could leave a mark, though, too. I honestly, I agree with you, GR. James Dean, to go back in his history, is 3 movies. It's not a lot, but he did leave an impact, Lexi. So do you think that because after all this time, 3 movies was enough to make this man still influential in Hollywood, would this story come out telling a different side of him change anything in the business?
Actually, I kind of agree with GR. I've always wondered too, other than the fact that he was hot and he was charismatic, he was in 3 fucking movies, and it was just they weren't even really like great movies. They were like those like starter of your career kind of movies. Like I feel like his third film might have been like his best one, but like wasn't his first film like one of those like shitty motorcycle films like that like were popular in the 50s or whatever, like those like you know what I
100%.
mean, like they're just like that kind of stuff. So like I mean like he wasn't exactly like and I do feel like Paul Walker and him are like, I feel like Paul Walker is the modern day James Dean in a lot of ways.
Kind of.
No,
Kind of.
Hollywood lets actors drive Porsches. They're fucking death traps. And it's not like they're not known for it. It's like the 911 from the 80s was known as the Widowmaker. It's like this particular model was known to have a, you know, a tail that steps out. They built these cars like I mean, the one that killed Walker has a, you know, reputation of even today being one of like the most dangerous and whatever cars. They don't put like any sort of traction controls or any sort of like safety monitors in them because they're supposed to be for people who are seasoned drivers, which James Dean was a seasoned driver. He had been in Le Mans. He was like a proper racer at that point. He didn't even want to act anymore. He pretty much was acting to fuel his racing career. So I've always thought it'd be more interesting to talk about that side of things. And the little bastard, he bought that car because he was impatient. He was waiting for like his other car to come in, and he was like, I can't wait anymore. So he bought this at the last minute, and he was waiting for a Lotus, is what it was. And he picked his Lotus to come in, and when his Lotus didn't come in, he got this thing instead. And it, you know, snap oversteered and killed him. And so, and then the parts of that car are notorious for killing people too. Even after its death, the little bastard goes on for killing people, even parts of the car and everything. I mean, it's notorious for being like one of the worst.
Is Little Bastard the name of the car? That's the name of the car, Little Bastard?
Yeah.
Like, I thought you were calling him a little bastard for a long time. Like, oh, she's like James Dean.
Little bastard. But me and Rachel were laughing the other day. We were having a conversation about like throughout history, like how there were all these like women that they would like write about how they were like best friends, and they would like write these letters, and the letters they would like, I licked like the letter and like your saliva was on it, and like they were roommates and things like that. And it's like they're clearly lesbian lovers, you know what I mean? They always call them roommates, or they would call them like best friends, or they never married, but they lived with their best friend for all of their life together. Yes. That kind of shit.
Yes, it's just my best friend. We were
laughing about that. So it's just like the James Dean thing, it just makes me think of like that same thing. It's like, oh, his roommate, of course, like that, that sort of conversation or whatever. But I think James Dean was probably bisexual. Like, I don't think he was gay. I think he was bisexual. And I think that a lot of these stories that we talk about where they try to go, oh, this guy was gay. I'm like, it's the same with Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury was bisexual. He wasn't gay. Like, it's the same conversation. Like, they want to typecast one way or the other, and they never want to have that conversation about bisexuality. And I'm like, Hollywood is rife with bisexuality all throughout history. And I'm like, I think it's really common to find bisexuality in Hollywood. It's like a bunch of very attractive people working with a bunch of very attractive people. And so I think like they all just kind of just are like fucking each other, you know what I mean? I think
especially
it's
that time they're all doing all the drugs, like there's like cocaine flying everywhere.
For sure.
They're just like
Vincent Price was openly bisexual. I mean, it's like it's not anything new, and I mean Vincent Price is a fucking beast. I love him.
Been going on for decades with that.
Yeah. And I mean, like at the end of the day, like, is this the conversation to have about James Dean? Or is the conversation that I was having more interesting? Because I think the one I was having was more interesting than him being gay. And as far as like Gen Z remembering who he is,
I feel do you think like they would even know?
James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Che Guevara. Those are all posters you see on people's walls still to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just those like iconic silhouettes that you could literally.
But why
like,
him?
draw.
3 movies. Why him? Like, he barely did any movies. Like, why is he
because that picture that he took is so fucking sexy. You know that picture of him leaning against the light post of him, like just like that, like the poster that I'm talking about, the same poster. Yeah. It's the same. That poster, the picture of Marilyn over the vent. They're so good. They're so iconic. Once you get that shot that just captures something so beautifully, so perfectly, he was very photogenic, and they did a lot of really great black and white photos of him, and he had a really great stance. You know who I feel looks a lot like him is the guy from Sons of Anarchy, the lead.
Charlie Hunnam?
Yeah, that guy could do it.
Edward Guy, was it Edward Gein?
The guy Edward Gein, the sexy Edward Gein coming up. Yeah, that guy. But that guy's actually like, I think that guy is James Dean hot. I think that guy could fucking, I think that guy could also be photographed in a very beautifully charismatic photo that one day, if he died, we could remember. To me, the James Dean photo that is flawless for Walker is the poster for, I believe it's the one where the poster where he's standing next to the blue Escort. And it's just that shot of him with his back leaned up against the blue Ford Escort. I think it's the poster for 7. It's right before he died. In that little car, and it's just that shot of just the white. It's just like an all white background. It's just this blue Escort with him leaned against it. That is one of the most iconic pictures I have ever seen in my entire life. And I feel that's James Dean grade iconic.
Yeah, people always try to relate that to that. Like, what's our James Dean moment? There's a lot of that throughout history. When
I look at Walker, I see James Dean. I see so much correlation to it, and so I just find myself
his death, as you said too.
Right down to the car stuff and everything, and I just find myself going I think the conversation isn't really about Dean himself. I don't think it was really that. I think it's those people. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a person that comes along every so often that is this kind of iconic pretty boy
enigma
that really is into something dangerous, and then that dangerous thing takes them out in the midst of their career, and it kind of locks them in forever as an icon of that. Because James Dean is to cars what Walker is to cars. So is Steve McQueen. These are 3 iconic actors.
Steve McQueen, 100%.
In the car industry, but to car people, those 3 names, they mean so much. To this day, every car I see still has a tuna no crust on it. That's
we have to address something, Lexi. Timothy Chalamet as James Dean. Timothy Chalamet as James Dean.
Oh, God damn it. But that's what they would do. I think there are a lot better.
James Franco's comeback. He's going to reprise his role. James Franco's comeback. Never going to happen. Never going to happen.
Franco was kind of like a caricature of him. It wasn't really like him exactly. So
he also had that acting class where he's getting all the girls naked and having them, pretty much simulate sex for him. That's why he was canceled. So I think he's not coming back. I can't imagine. So much so that Seth Green's or Seth Rogen's no, he's not my friend anymore. And it's it's freaking have problems, I can't imagine.
It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
He was a talented actor though, so that does suck. Comparatively, he was the best part of a lot of Rogen's films. So
yeah, he was. He was funny. He's fucking funny. In the interview, he's fucking great too. I love the interview. I know that one came out during a time too where you had to go watch it at home, but it was weird movie. Katy Perry was like, "You can use my song, why not?" But I'd say the James Dean thing. There is probably a better topic here. You're right, Alexia. A different way of looking at this as well. More about being a figure who is his own demise through his own being obsessed with cars. You're right, something like that could be kind of more interesting as opposed to you're right. They're not really focusing on it right. I don't think. And James Dean again. He's just he's this pop culture icon, and he doesn't really have much substance to his. There's not much to tell about his life, I don't think. But again, maybe there is. Maybe I'm totally wrong about this.
Lexi said it best. One great picture, and those 3 you cited, Lexi, were dead on. One great picture can make you stand out forever.
Yeah, and that's it.
Che Guevara was an asshole, communist, people wacko, but he's got a great picture, so he's famous to people that don't know anything about history.
Yeah, in his own regard, because of what you bring for that role. Sometimes what you put on that screen sometimes will shine forever. And that's the best part about Hollywood sometimes too, is you can leave an impact that much to influence generations just based off of one thing you did at one moment of time. And I think James Dean did do that for a lot of people. Like Lexi's saying, he's still in a lot of people's college dorm rooms. They're still putting those pictures out there to him. And honestly, I bet he'd be excited that his career is still, we're still talking about here in 2024, and he's been gone forever now, since the 50s. It's crazy.
I agree with what Rachel said. I think this is a film that focuses on that side of the golden age of Hollywood and the closeted homosexuality that was going on and those conversations.
Yeah.
I think that's more of a film in and of itself because there was so much of it. And I think it's more, how do we talk about how that was handled and what went
Horribly.
on and all that kind of stuff. I think that's more of the conversation than James Dean and his weird, because I do honestly think James Dean was bisexual.
Him and his roommate. That's what it is. About him and his roommate. I think there's more to tell here too. I think there is.
One night that you have a gay time with your friend, like whatever, okay, cool. Like that used to be a whole movie. Like that guy who made 3 movies in his life and died by a car accident because he was an idiot and just drove too fast into the fucking wall. And then we're gonna make a movie about that time he was gay.
One Night Only is something called One Night Only.
A movie that I want to watch more. I think I'll be going to watch that fucking the one we just talked about before I'll watch this one. And I'm not watching the other one.
I would say this director needs to do something like that. I mean, again, they're going to the studio with this approach. They're approaching them with that. He's got the script written. He's attached to it. He's getting funding. It's moving forward. They're doing casting next. So we'll have to wait and find out. Hopefully, there's more. There's some meat in this potatoes. Hopefully, I hope. And I hope there's like a lot that can actually delve into this world. I like that, going back to old Hollywood and delving into that, what it was actually like. More interesting than just...
What's that movie with, Brendan Fraser, where it's about the actor who played Frankenstein, and it's about his gay relationship with that guy, Gods and Monsters, I think it's called.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Brilliant film. If you want to see a movie about like the golden age of Hollywood and the homosexuality and people having to keep their stuff in the closet, Gods and Monsters, Brandon Fraser, one of the best movies.
Gods and Monsters.
How many Hollywood marriages were to hide the sexuality?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too. So many, even the same people say things like that too, like Will Smith, they would say it about him, and Jada, that they were together behind him. That's been a whole thing. I mean, I don't know, Will Smith's been used for a lot of weirder things. He's too busy farting in cars these days.
We talked about Tom Cruise tonight.
Tom Cruise is straight.
They've often been thought about him being gay, though. That's been a big Hollywood rumor for years and years and years.
And he's like in that world too. Like, I think he's, of course, what James Dean could have been. I think he could have been Tom Cruise if he wouldn't have died. And Tom Cruise is, again, like an enigma. He's so different than everybody else out there. He's still Tom Cruise. He's a brand. He's one of the biggest movie stars out there. And, he kicks ass what he does. He gives it his all. But he doesn't talk about his life, his personal life at all. He just doesn't. Since his divorces and stuff like that. But it's always been a little bit of trickle through the cracks that there's something else going on behind doors or closed doors with Tom Cruise. Which, whatever. Let him live his life. He's like, keep it on the press. But James Dean, everybody, we're not keeping this on the press. Biopic is moving forward. And if you're excited about it, let us know.
Yo, player, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we are live. And if you are able to join our Patreon, please join. Because the pep star needs more snickety snacks. Because I'm hungry. Holla back. Love y'all.